all this stuff. And you go, like, you think you should be annoyed, but I'm so not annoyed. It's like, you can't be it. And I so get that's when you choose your reality and not this reality. It's like that difference of functioning with this reality, but not buying into it. So I'm here. I managed to put lipstick on for you.
Thank you. You're gorgeous as always. Thank you so much for being here with us, talking a little bit more about relationship than different. And like this is Valentine's Day Brazil, so it's a really significant day for us to talk about relationship. Thank you for having a date with me today. How
You
did I
are
get
so
so?
welcome. Happy Valentine's Day. And you just told me, I'm going to tell everyone before we went live that I was taking your virginity because
Yeah,
this is the first StreamYard you've done.
it's the first thing, and you took several times my virginity. My first translation was in one of your COPs, and I took your virginity as well because your first Instagram threesome was with me
Oh,
and
that was true.
Simone.
Yep. I never knew you could have a threesome on Instagram, but there you go. Now I
Yeah,
know.
I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky. So, Simone, let's invite this Valentine's Day energy for us to speak a little bit more about relationship. And the first thing I want to ask you, like, you are the author of a book, Relationship. Are you sure you want one? Like, that's an interesting name. Can you tell us a little bit about how did you
Yeah.
pick that name?
Look, that book came about from myself and Brendan Watt, who I know a lot of people know. Brendan, we were in a relationship for 8 years, and we will both admit it that the only reason we were in a relationship for 8 years is because of two things: one, Gary Douglas; number two, the Access Consciousness tools. Like, he helped us out so much when we were in, I don't know, those moments where those rocky moments. I mean, relationship is work. Like, you've got to put some work into it. And we used the Access Consciousness tools. I'm not saying we loved using them, but we used them because there was moments where I was like, I don't want to do that. And then Gary would say, well, it'll create something greater. And I would use the tool and it would create something greater. So as we lived our life and throughout this, 8 years we were together, I think it was about year 5 or 6 that um, a lot of people were asking us about how we create our relationship and how we be in it. Because there was, I think a great deal of honoring for a large portion of the relationship. We definitely had our ups and downs and it was colorful and all of that. But for a large portion of it, we were very honoring of each other. And a lot of people asked us about it. So we were doing classes and we thought, let's put it into a book. So we wanted it to be a question, and we wanted the book to be about relationship isn't a necessity. So that's why we put it into a question and put it back onto the person, like, relationship, are you sure you want one? And you know what is hysterical? Every single person I talk to about that, from, media to my gardener to, anyone, when I say the name in the book, they look at me and they have this smirk on their face, because I think everybody has the same point of view. They think they want a relationship, and then they get one and they go, damn, what'd I choose this for? And then they have great times, and then they have shitty times, and then they have great times, and then they have shitty times. So I think it's a really good question to ask yourself. Relationship, are you sure you want one?
Yeah, thank you so much for this. And this is awesome because I get that we are not actually very honest with ourselves about wanting or not a relationship, because there are like tons of people's like, oh, I really want to date. I really want to have a boyfriend, a girlfriend. But like, if you're not creating this, maybe you have some judgments about this or you don't actually want it, right?
Yeah, I was actually talking to a friend in the last couple of days, and I was talking to him about, I said, look, get clear on what it is you want. Stop lying to yourself. And because we create this fantasy in our world of, hey, we want this relationship, or we want, XYZ, and we want it to be like this, and we want it to be with this person. And I'm going to say, most of the time, we choose someone who we can't have, which is what you would call unrequited love. But here's my question: do you choose that based on, it's not going to show up and it's not going to be, a part of your life, so that you can complain and do the Dios mío, mio Dio, it's like, this is not working out for me. But all you wanted to actually do was be on your own. It's like, I mean, if you want to choose a relationship, choose it because it's fun and it contributes so much more to your life. But don't choose it because everybody else is and it's being projected at you that that's what you should choose. And you hit the nail on the head, Andre. It's so much about being brutally honest with yourself. What is it that you truly desire?
Because, oh, are we here? Okay.
We lost you for a second. So I don't know if you said something. It was just me. It was like this, cliffhanger of me saying, what is it you truly desire? And then Andre just stepped back and it was just
like faded away. Like, no, I'm not willing to be clear about this.
I'm out of here then. See?
Yeah.
How do you say because I know in Spanish it's Dios mío, and in Italian it's mio Dio. So how do you say it in Portuguese?
Meu Deus.
Mio Dios.
Meu Deus.
Mio Dios, I'm all alone. Mio Dios. Like he's cheating on me, she's cheating. Mio Dios, he looked at somebody else, she looked at somebody else. It's like, oh my goodness. We do that like over and over again. And what would you like? So here's one of the things that I did. In 2020, when I came home and I was like, what the fuck? I'm on my couch going, okay, what am I going to do now? I was home. I was so used to traveling so much. And so one of the things was I looked at my whole entire life and I sort of broke it down into different sections. And I won't talk about all of them, but I did business, money, relationship, sex, body, and geographical, because I was like, where do I want to live? So the relationship and sex part, I looked at that because I was like, do I want another relationship? And I wanted to be really honest with myself if that's what I actually desired. So I started, and I gave this tool to a friend of mine the other day, and I said, do old school, get a little notebook, and write down, what is it that you like about relationship? And one of the first things I came to was like, because relationship is relationship, sex is sex. Don't confuse them.
That's a good one.
People put them together all the time. You can have sex without being in a relationship. Breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. So, but what I looked at was, okay, so one of the things I enjoy with another person is, talking about possibilities, like really exploring, okay, what's next? Nice glass of wine, maybe some good music, cooking a nice meal. And I went, well, hang on a second. I have that. And I have that with a few people and I really enjoy it. Do I have sex with them? No. Oh, but I have that. And I realized there's aspects of relationship that I like. I looked at, okay, so in the bedroom, it's like, do I actually want to sleep with someone every night? And that's a big no. It's like, I love when I get to sleep with someone and it's nice. And, especially when their energy in your body is such a contribution, it can be really amazing and beautiful. Do I want to do that every night? Absolutely not. I can starfish on a big bed just as good as sleeping with someone. So I went, okay, how many nights would I actually like to be sharing a bed with someone? And really asked myself that question. And then even I went, okay, if I ever, because I lived with Brendan, and I went, if I would I choose to live with someone again? And at this moment in my life, I would say no. If I ever did, I said it would have to be something like Downton Abbey, where I have my own bedroom, my own bathroom, my own friggin' closet. I mean, my clothes are massive, It's like I've got so many shoes and everything. And then he gets to have his own, wardrobe, bathroom, bedroom. You could have interconnecting doors. It could be at the other end of the house. I don't care. You could spend every night together, or you could spend it, you could play. You could have a playroom. A playroom is a great idea. I like the idea of big enough that you actually have a playroom too. So you sleep in one bed, play in another, whatever. It's like, but have a look at what works for you. Be brutally honest and start to aim for that. Because if you're going, oh, I'd like to get married and have kids and I'd like to do X, Y, Z, and that's not actually what you'd like, you're going to spend your entire life creating a disaster because you're asking for what it is you do not desire. I'm not giving you a chance to talk.
Yeah, this is really awesome because most of us have no idea what will work for us and we never asked about it. So we keep thinking that relationship is that thing we saw with our parents and our relatives and our movies. And we can project that and keep being frustrated in our lives. Or we can just like, oh, I truly don't want that. So we pretend to want it, but we're not willing to receive it. And we create so much shit around relationship. Like, no wonder Valentine's Day is such a depressing like era for people. Like, people were like, oh, we're gonna do a live with Simone. Please talk about being alone on Valentine's Day and how can we go through the social media and be alive. And I'm like, okay, let's bring this energy up, because we actually, most of us, we are not interested in the relationships as it's constructed in this reality, right?
No, and I'm gonna be a little naughty, I guess. I mean, you just said talking about being alone on Valentine's Day. I'm going to ask all of you listening to this now and in the future, be honest with yourself. What's some of the best orgasms you had? Have they been with someone or have they been alone? And some of you may have had both, but it's truly, and it's like, get a nice glass of wine and masturbate. Give yourself the best fucking orgasm you've ever had, whatever. And it's like, but what if being alone wasn't a bad thing? And what if you were actually never truly alone? But I said to this friend of mine the other day, because they were saying, oh, I'm so alone. And I said, I want you to write down what you've decided being alone is. And if you were not alone, what would you choose? And they said, well, I'd like to have this open house where people just came and went all the time. And it reminded me of, I don't know if you know the writer Hemingway. And I went to his house. I mean, obviously it's like a museum now in Florida, down at the Keys. And they said he was an old drunk. And I was like, yeah, he was an old drunk. And everyone came and went from the house. And I said, you're so different from me. There's about 5 people in the world that I would be okay with if they just came knocking on my door all the time. If everyone came knocking on my door, I'd be like, what are you doing here again? You were here yesterday. I love being on my own. I go home and I'm like a hermit. There's probably like 2 people that I see when I'm at home, because I travel all over the world, do all of this. But here's the thing, I don't make it wrong. I love, watching Netflix, nice glass of wine, or even cooking a meal and doing whatever, or having a nice long bath. It's like whatever. It's like I like being alone. And my question to all of you listening is, have you judged being alone because that's what you think you should judge, rather than, hang on a second, there's no one here right now. Is this okay? Yeah. And it's like, because if you are quote unquote alone, you've chosen it. Like, I see people do this thing of going, oh, I wish I was in a relationship. I wish I could find the one. I wish, wherever you are at right now in your life, you chose it. So if you don't like it, choose again and take some action. Choose something different.
Yeah. And there's one thing in the relationship and different classes, and also in the book, that I love, that is like the no counts. Because we keep choosing the same kind of people, and then we seem to have no idea why we're having the same outcome in our lives. And there's an expression in Brazil that is like the rotten finger, that in English seems to be like the broken picker. Like, I always choose like the worst kind of people to be in relationship or have sex with. Can you talk a little bit about like always choosing the same pattern of people and being frustrated because the same outcome happens?
Yeah, that tool actually came up because of me. Well, you're talking about 2 different tools there as well. And we do talk about it in Relationship, Are You Sure You Want One? And it's in the Relationship Done Different classes as well, which I have one coming up soon, and it's going to be 10 weeks long. So, which I'm really excited about, the 10 weeks, because we get to do a call each week, and then go away, have some home play, and what contribution can we be for each other? Because I so get, as people hear other people's stories, they get clearer, and that's what I would like. So it starts, I think, in July, and it's 10 weeks. But here's the thing: the two different things that you spoke about is, one is we call it like the no count, the winners and the losers. And this came up because I was in Sydney, Australia, and I was with Gary Douglas, and there was a guy coming to a class, and I said that I'd like to have sex with him. And Gary said, why do you want to have sex with him? And I went, because he's hot. He's like, blah, 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 had all this sort of thing. And he looked at me and he went, he's an asshole. But I had decided in my world that, and what we got to was, he said, what is he to you? Like, who is he? And we got to, he was a winner. So he, in my world, he and Gary said, he doesn't want to have sex with you. If he doesn't want to have sex with me, he's a winner. So therefore I must try and obtain him. Now, I know that this sounds crazy, but all of you listening are going, oh my God, I've done that, or I do that, right? And then he said to me, what if you had sex with this person or this one or this one? And he said, you know, they'd have sex with you. And I went, I sort of screwed my face up. And he goes, what are they, losers? And I went, pretty much. And then he was like, so the people who don't want to have sex with you, you've decided are winners. And the people who do want to have sex with you, you've decided are losers. And as he said it, I was like, God, that's so crazy. And then he asked me about a few other people, and I was like, they're just like, meh. And he went, so they're like no counts. I went, apparently. So how many of you have been choosing the winners, which you will never get? And when you get them, it's like, it's not even a fun thing. Like, I used to choose a lot of men who judged me and my body just as much as I did, so that I could go, whoa, it matches the judgments of what I have. And then I would refuse. I would avoid the people who were kind and caring and nurturing and who possibly would be a hell of a lot of fun. And then I started looking at, okay, if I had no point of view about all of these people, then what would my body like and what would actually be fun? And started sort of looking at that no count area. And just a little story, there was a friend of mine who heard this tool, and she went into this room. There was an access class, and she looked around and went, okay, who's the no counts? And there was one guy that she saw, and she walked over to him and said, hey, would you like to go get a drink after class? And he said yes. And they've been together ever since.
Wow, that's awesome.
I know. So it's, and then you mentioned about the part about how we always choose what we've always chosen, you know, and we go, no, it's a different person. And it's like, what? They've got a different colored hair. I mean, sometimes you don't even choose a different colored hair. You choose, you know, all blondes or all brunettes or something like that, or, you know, all of a certain standard. But it's like, what if you could destroy and uncreate everything that you've chosen in not just this lifetime, any lifetime, in any relationship, and everything that that is, times a godzillion, right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all nine shorts, boys, perverts, and beyonds, which is the Access Consciousness Clearing Statement. I've just put the link down there. You can find out more about it there. But the whole idea is you're blasting away all of those different points of view that you've created that are not even yours. And for me, relationship done different, you know, classes, all of the tools, find out what works for you. I don't care what it is. It's like, I don't care if you want to be a dominatrix. It's like, you know, you want to be a prostitute. You want to be a priest. It's like, you want to have lots of affairs. Or if you just want to get married and have 2 kids and a white picket fence, do it. Choose it. But choose it because it works for you, not because you think you have to. So for me, I like the freedom that people can receive from using these tools.
Yeah. And like, we're so grateful for you for creating this 10-week program, because it's going to be plenty of time for us to practice the tools and like get your problems in relationships and bring it to you and ask you questions and like move along, because it's going to be like one full 3-day class in 10 weeks, like divided one call per week. So how did we get so lucky that we get to experience this with the creator of this specialty and like being able to expand our lives? So we begin on the 12th of July, Australia time, or the 11th for America, like Brazil and States and stuff. So guys, what would it create for us to have like more of this, like 10 weeks working on these tools? And like, Simone, like, we focus on relationship, sex and stuff because we are on Brazil Valentine's Day, but like relationship and different is for all the areas of our life, like earth, bodies, money, business, right?
Yeah, it is. And, you know, one of the things that I have been so grateful for, God, that's so funny. I've just come from Italy and I've been in there quite a while, and I'm learning Italian, and I almost just said that one sentence in Italian. So I'm very grateful that I'm actually thinking Italian. E sono grata. So I'm really grateful that most of the time by the end of the class, you know, people come going, oh, I want this, I want that, you know, and by the end of the class, one of the tools that we talk about, and I will talk about a lot and invite you to use it, is the 5 elements of intimacy. And the 5 elements of intimacy is gratitude, trust, honor, allowance, and vulnerability. And when you start to have those 5 elements of intimacy with you, then you can have them with others. You can have them with the person that you're choosing to have sex with, or you would like to, with your kids, with your, you know, your parents. It's like your friends, your colleagues, and like you said, with your body. I have been gaining so much awareness with my body for the last however many years. But this trip, I'm in Europe for 2.5 months, and my body has shown me so much. And I so get that we override our bodies so often. And what if we started to listen to it and honor it and trust it and be vulnerable with our bodies? And also, like you mentioned, the earth. What sort of, you know, connection would you like to have with the earth, with animals? So relationships done different is about all of it. Is there a lot of people who come trying to find a relationship, or from, like, when I first met Gary Douglas, I had no desire for a relationship. And the first class I ever heard him talk in was a relationship class. And I only went, it was an evening class. I only went because I saw him and I wanted to know more about what he was talking about. And I was sort of like, oh, damn, he's doing a relationship class. But I went there, and it was the first time ever that I did not feel wrong for not desiring a relationship. I walked out and I was like, wow, I felt really empowered to choose what it is that I wanted to choose. And one of the things he said, which I'll never forget, he said, don't trust me. He said, trust you, not me. And I was like, God, that's refreshing. And I would say the same thing. Anything I've said, that if it doesn't make you feel lighter in your world, don't trust me, trust you. You are the one that knows what works for you. So yeah, relationship done different is about all different relationships.
How did we get so lucky? Thank you so much, Simone, for this conversation, for being who you are. Like, you know, I love you, and I'm so grateful for everything that you be in the world.
I love you too. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine, sweetie. So, guys, we hope to see you on our 10 weeks. And Simone's going to be in Brazil for CFP 12 August as well. 1 month after we start the relationship 10 weeks. So,
it's a very significant date, 12th of July, 12th of August.
We are together on the 12th of June. So, the 12th is a strong day for us. Yeah.
Let's make it really meaningful and significant.
Totally. Thank you, sweetie. Thank you, guys.
Mwah.
Mwah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.